Well, here we are, the 3-year history video. 3 years ago today, I created my YouTube channel, and every year on this anniversary, I release a video recapping the year. This is a video I make for myself, a journal of sorts, where I relay everything about my channel that I'd like to remain in the history books. This way I, or future viewers, can look back on these videos and see where I started and where I've ended up. As of August 7th, 2024, which is when I'm writing and recording this video, the channel has gained 1,088 subscribers and 120,452 views. I'll probably say this every year, but that's just crazy. That is double what I had last year. A lot of those views have come, to my surprise, from my Octopath Traveler content, which I will talk about in a second, as well as my Sands of Time guide yet again, thanks to an MCC Bedrock event that just happened at the end of July. I also had this one short where I repurposed an animation I made from my Ranking Things I Shouldn't video from 2 years ago, but in general, all of my videos have been gaining relatively good views, and this success over the past year means that the channel hit monetization milestones not just once, but twice. On June 13th, 2023, YouTube added a tier of monetization in the YouTube Partner Program before the typical 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours mark. On January 30th, 2024, the channel hit this new mark of 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours, which gives a creator access to all monetization facets besides ad revenue. Knowing I was close to hitting this, literally just waiting on the watch hours, which the Octopath videos were slowly gaining me, I began workshopping my channel memberships, and within a few days I had those up and running with a framework in place for me to follow in the future and a plan for perks to offer. It was at this time that the PMB Hangout was born, the Discord server for the channel. If you want to hear more about my thought process behind how and why I set the Discord up as I did, you can go to the timestamp on screen in my 1,000 subscriber Q&A since I answered a question that related to this. I will also put a link that includes the timestamp in the description. Hitting this first milestone is also the reason I started streaming weekly, starting out every Friday but eventually switching it to every Thursday, which just so happens to be today. This year I failed to gauge just how much time I'd need in order to edit this video, so I'm actually getting this out a day late. It is indeed Friday. I started streaming to offer another perk for memberships, but also because I wanted to play more games. I knew in the future there'd be games I'd want to stream, and at the time streaming was something I still got a bit nervous for, so I bit the bullet and started doing it. And now I look forward to stream every week, and I'm glad for the break it gives me from editing, being able to play a game and not worry about how I'll edit the footage later. It's also a way to connect with the community in a way I hadn't before, and I found I've really enjoyed it. The next milestone, the grand 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, was hit on July 3rd, 2024, and this time I was waiting for the subscriber count. I kid you not, I had over 5,000 watch hours. The Octopath videos worked a little too well, and as far as I'm aware, I'm in a minority of content creators who have had this problem. I've heard people often hit the subscriber count before the watch hour. I would definitely say the answer to this mystery lies in long-form content, so it makes me wonder what the story is for 100 Days content creators and the like. That day on July 3rd was crazy because I knew I could start getting ad revenue, but I had false claims for music on my currently best performing videos. I spent that morning disputing the claims, and thankfully they have been released. That's also the day I gave myself food poisoning, and then 2 days later I'd get a cold that lasted about 2 weeks. July was an interesting month this year. It's also the month where I hit the payment threshold for earnings on YouTube, and at the end of this month I'll be receiving my first YouTube paycheck, which is crazy that I can say that. It's pennies in the grand scheme of life expenses and inflation, but the fact that I can make any money at all from my content is amazing. I've had my channel for 3 years, and I've been making content for 2.5, so to make it this far so soon is an accomplishment in of itself. Thank you all for the support thus far. I'm excited to see how the channel will continue to grow in the next year. Now, I know this video is already running longer than my past history videos, but I do have more to share. I mean, when I really think about it, there's just a lot that's happened this year. But there's also a lot that happened in year 2 that I wasn't able to talk about last year, as I had projects that bled over into year 3. Those projects have been released, and now I can finally talk about them. Octopath, the game that changed my life, and episode 4 of my Minecraft Hardcore series. There is a large timeline that involves these videos, and it influenced a lot of what my channel is today, so it's important to me to lay everything out, mostly because I find it interesting, but also in the interest of history. We'll start in March of 2022. I had released episode 3 of my Hardcore series, and was working on episode 4. I had planned the first episode to be building the first mushroom in my hanging mushroom city. At the time, Hardcore videos were doing well, which is why I had started my Hardcore series, hoping to to find success in this vein. But the videos that were doing especially well were videos like Sandictions, where an entire project, aka a lot of progress, was made in one large satisfying video. So I decided to pivot. I had faith in my build concept, and knew if I could take what was in my head and create it in Minecraft, it would look amazing. So I embarked on making a large-scale video, hoping it would be my ticket to success. Obviously, things have gone differently, and I found success without this video, but we'll get to that in a moment. I would work pretty consistently on this video up through July. Well, really, I worked on it consistently up through January of the following year, but July is where my plans would shift. This is when I would begin playing Octopath Traveler, and after spending about 3 weeks doing hardly anything besides playing Octopath Traveler, I beat it. I loved that game, and still do. To me, it was time very well spent. Excited that I had completed it, I would go to YouTube in coming weeks to watch Octopath content, where I would discover that a lot of people critique the story in that game, but the story was one of the things I loved most about it. This is what planted the seed that began to sprout throughout the latter half of August and into September. I needed to make a video on this game. I was thinking about 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 at most, if it really needed it. Around this time, I also learned that Octopath Traveler 2 had just been announced. Fortune would have it, I played the first game 4 years after its release, and so I set a goal. I would edit and release my Octopath video in mid-February 2023, which would be about 1 to 2 weeks before Octopath 2 released, meaning searches would be higher around and after this time. At the end of the month, I'd release my hardcore video. I figured I would have the project done by then, and it would also be the 1-year anniversary for my hardcore world. I finished up some current projects, and about the end of October is when I would really start work on the Octopath script. There's a lot I could say about the early writing process, but to keep things short, I essentially ran into a problem called context. I found no matter how I tried to talk about the game, there was always story context that was missing, which would mean the video would be totally unwatchable for people who haven't played the game or those who haven't played in some time. I kept finding myself adding more and more story summary or more and more examples to showcase my point. I wrestled with that thing until I finally found the flow. It's miraculous to me how that script came about, because I was trying to balance so many different video concepts in one. I believe in God, so I'd attribute it to him giving me a helping hand, but I'm sure there are those who would say I figured it out on my own, and I just needed enough time and space to think about it. Whatever you might personally think, the fact remains that I finally hit a balance. A summary of my playthrough, funny, insightful, as well as an exploration and explanation of the stories that showcased why I felt they were so well written. I hit this balance around Alphen and Therion's sections in the script, and after that it was a matter of following the pattern I had now set. I finished the script in early to mid-January 2023, and planned to edit it in 6 weeks. Yep! 6 weeks. I'd been working on the hardcore video while script writing, and it was at this point I decided to put it to the side for the time being. It was more important to me to get the Octopath video out for the second game's release, than to get the hardcore video out for the anniversary of the series. Things after that would continue to not go to plan. I couldn't edit everything in time, and started burning out after sprinting through editing the first 2 characters' sections, and I really started to slow down near the end of editing the third. I missed the deadline. And though I was pretty upset, I decided it was better to make the video the best it could be than to rush it. I'd release it when I could. About March of 2023, I'd take a break to work on a new video, a Sands of Time guide. Funnily enough, this was an idea I had roughly drafted up in December of 2022, just a few months earlier. But now MCC Season 3 had just begun, and streamers were still struggling with Sands of Time, and I decided enough was enough. My passion for this video had returned, and I wanted to make a guide to help lessen the learning curve. I made that video in about 6 weeks, and it garnered success I wasn't expecting thanks to a contestant watching and sharing my video. That break was much needed, and after that I continued work on the Octopath project, making other videos in between when I felt I'd gone too long between uploads. Sometimes I'd throw in a stream because it was less effort and sufficed in showing my presence and that I was indeed not dead. My new goal was to get the video done for the 5th anniversary of the game in July. That came and went. But at this point, I was proud of this video, and wanted to give it my best the whole way through. I made sure to spend time on the details. I refused to be lazy and let mistakes I caught slide. I had put too much time in to stop now, and I just prayed this time would pay off even just a little bit. On October 7th, 2023, I finally released it. The beginning of that week when I finished it was such a relief. It felt a bit unreal that I had actually gotten there. I set the premiere, wrote out the tags and the description and everything, and since I had a few days to wait, I immediately started playing Octopath II. And though I told myself I'd play enough for one episode and then edit it, rinse and repeat, I got hooked and couldn't stop playing. Which of course leads us to now, where I am editing that series after the fact. A happy accident, as I actually love that I'm able to give commentary from a post-game perspective. I'd start the Octopath II series in November of 2023, and finding success there, combined with the start of Hermitcraft Season 10 at the end of January of this year, well, I found I wanted to build in my hardcore world again, and I decided I didn't need to make it one big video. I think the general attitude the Hermits have had towards Season 10 helped with this decision. They've wanted to go back to simpler times, having fun, and not having to go bigger and better. Looking at my channel, I clearly didn't need this hardcore video in order to find success, and the project had been weighing on my mind as a massive unfinished task. There was so much work I'd already put into it, and I had nothing to show for it. So I decided I'd release what I had so far. It took me a while to figure out the best way to do that, as I was working around a lot of my old editing, but I figured it out eventually, and here at the beginning of August, I was able to release it. Whew. That was a lot, but it's a story I've wanted to share for a while, and I really do think it fits better in this history video than in the intro of the hardcore video. When I look back at this timeline, it's crazy for me to think of how things have gone for the channel. I never expected this to happen, and I'm also surprised at how much I've been able to get done. Even back when I was working on those 2 videos, I'm surprised I still got other stuff out. I guess it just goes to show that a lot can go on behind the scenes. Plans in motion, plans that change. At the end of the day, I end up making decisions based on what feels best, continuing to work on things I enjoy while also trying to make things that you, the viewer or viewers of YouTube, will enjoy. I promise we're almost to the montage portion of the video where I share my favorite moments from the past year. But real quick, here are a few thoughts left by Year 2 me that she wanted to ensure made it into this video. 1. The original concept for the stick figures that I now use in my videos, as you can clearly see, I'm using them now, was for the Octopath 1 video. I knew I'd be talking a lot and wanted something on screen to give some movement and to represent me while I talked. I'm not an artist, so I came up with the stick figures. I also figured I could have the stick figures interact with stuff on screen, and that might be a fun gimmick. This idea might have been inspired by Alan Becker's videos, and recently I realized Lixian, Markiplier's editor. My intention wasn't to copy them, but I wouldn't be surprised if my brain took inspiration from these and other sources. Heck, I'm just now remembering CGP Grey does something similar as well. Funnily enough, even though the Octopath 1 video was what sparked the idea, the first video to showcase the stick figures was my ranking things I shouldn't video in an animation I made. But the first video to have the stick figures commentate on screen was my Ascent wallbanging guide for Valorant. I remember wondering if I should use them for that video because I kind of wanted the Octopath video to be the first time they showed up. But at that point, I had no idea when I'd get that video out, so I decided to just go ahead with it. 2. I started using Audacity when making the Octopath video, and it made recording voiceovers so much better, according to past me. I mean, for bigger projects, yes. I'm actually using it right now to record this, I'll be honest. But I still use the recording capability in DaVinci quite a bit. I guess past me wanted you to know that though. Also, I switched from Lightworks to DaVinci Resolve for my editing software during Year 1. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. I made the switch so I could do those few Valorant music edits I made. Guess I'll just throw that in here because why not? And that's all for the notes. Once again, thank you for all the support thus far, both from family and friends and from you guys who watch my videos. Here's to another year, and I'll see you in Year 4. Oh, it's fine. That's just, oh, wait, I can, where was it at? Shoot, I have 2 things to say about this. 1, that is not how you pick up chicks, bro. If you wanted to play hero, you should have been here 5 minutes ago, stabbing the guy who's currently lying dead on the floor. But 2, why do the charismatic, attractive ones always end up being the bad guy? When I came to fight the boss, I was like, whoa, dragon, and my cousin's like,
yeah, you should look at its name.
And I'm like, ooh, it's probably some winter wyvern or something epic like that. Its name is Dragon.
Yep.
Really?
I thought it would have a cool name when I went to fight it, but I was disappointed to see it was just Dragon.
And you decided I should also experience this disappointment?
Yep.
Well, isn't that nice? And you know what doesn't count as a boss? The souls. Yeah, try self-imploding now, you little jerks. He's so cool. Looks like Galdera's goal is to consume everything. The world, the other gods, all so he can be alone. Like, I get it, you're an introvert, but this is a little extreme, man. What is the point of all this, oh flamey one?
Alright.
I fight this terrifying tree monster, which I imagine is the horror version of the Wispy Woods from Kirby, as well as the chapter boss, the Lord of the Forest, which looks like what would happen if the Guy's Vengeance set for Valorant and the Forest Spirit from Princess Mononoke had a baby. It also reminds me of a really shaggy dog, but for all his knowledge, he knows nothing about women. Would these guys follow me off a cliff? Would you do that?
Hoodie is on.
Hoodie on. Next up, it's time to talk about Therion. If you couldn't tell already, he ended up being my favorite. Therion is a cute, cool, and elusive thief. Okay, I hate to say this, but his voice is hot. Hold on. And Tressa's gonna find someone new to run the town. Works for me. Having the visiting 18-year-old merchant choose your new government official is a great way to solve any local political drama. Crap.
It's been too long, Hikari.
Is it Ritsu? Ritsu.
In case you were wondering, you can call me Captain now.
Link to an unlisted video with the rest of the clips is in the description. There were too many to fit into one montage, and I don't want to make this video too long. Also, this is like the 5th video I've released in a week. Never expect this to happen again.